Well, now the Department of Justice is investigating Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey in a criminal case, subpoenaing them over accusations that they stood in the way of ongoing immigration enforcement. Now, Governor Walz is already saying in a statement that the DOJ is weaponizing the justice system and that the only person not being investigated for the shooting of Renee Good is the federal agent who shot her. Meanwhile, Mayor Frey is accusing the DOJ of intimidating him for standing up for Minneapolis, saying neither the city nor the country will succumb to this fear. Joining us now live to talk about the legal ramifications, criminal defense attorney Brian Claypool. Brian, appreciate you joining us on this. And we see White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller accusing Walz and Frey of abetting and encouraging protests on Thursday, adding there was a, quote, insurgency against the federal government coming from Minnesota. Do you think that the DOJ has a strong case here?
Yeah, hey, Natasha, great to see you again. So the relevant statute, it's a federal law, 18-372. And what you have to prove to indict either Walz or Frey is that those two conspired to incite people to go out and prevent federal immigration officials from carrying out their duties through threats, intimidation, or force. And that's where I think there's a problem. I mean, to start off, I'm not sure this was a conspiracy between Walz and Frey, right? They're getting up and they're talking about their city, their state, what's happening there, what they're unhappy about. And Natasha, you're probably aware of this. I mean, most of the time, that criticism by political officials is protected speech under the First Amendment when you're criticizing the federal government. It only rises to a crime when you're, like I said, when you're getting together and you're encouraging people to get out there and you're threatening people if they don't go out, you know, they're going to be in trouble. But I didn't see, I saw a lot of the comments by Walz and Frey. I didn't think it rose to the level of them encouraging and inciting people to go walk out on the street and prevent immigration officials from carrying out their duty.
Brian, let's talk about the Insurrection Act as well, because earlier this week, President Trump saying that he may invoke it in Minnesota. He seems to be walking that back now. Does he have the legal grounds to do this? And what does this practically look like if he does give the go-ahead and he pushes this forward in Minneapolis?
Well, I think using the Insurrection Act depends on what's happening, you know, minute by minute. It's fluid, Natasha, in Minneapolis and the surrounding areas. What do I mean by that? Well, it means that President Trump could deploy military troops into a city if there is an unrest going on that threatens the city. And the last example I could give you of that happening was in LA with the riots in 1992, where the Insurrection Act was deployed. So I think the big question is whether there is so much unrest going on in the city that federal troops need to be deployed, right? And think about it, though. In LA, it came in a little bit late. We had a ton of rioting, ton of damage. Trump, I think, is threatening it to try to quell some of the violence that's taken place there, or civil unrest. But look, to me, it looks like you're showing pictures. It's super cold in Minneapolis. I think it was 11 below today.
It's 0 degrees, feels even worse on the ground, yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm out here in the Los Angeles area. It was 80 degrees today. So I can't imagine anybody wanting to be out on the streets there and you know, creating civil unrest. So to summarize, I think it's a verbal threat. I don't really think it should rise to the level of the Insurrection Act needing to be deployed.
Understood. And no need to brag there, Brian. But one more question for you. We saw a federal judge ruling yesterday on what federal officers and agents can and cannot do to peaceful protesters. Legally, though, how is it determined if someone is peaceful? Because we hear News Nation's Mills Hayes tonight, for example, saying that today she witnessed a woman spitting on a law enforcement vehicle and then being arrested. And did that cross the line of being peaceful, for example?
You're saying somebody spit on a vehicle?
Correct, on a law enforcement vehicle.
That's not gonna rise to the level of civil unrest. Now, if you spit at a police officer, right, you're face to face, and you spit at them, that's an assault. That's arguably an assault and battery. It's not a good idea to spit on a a police officer vehicle, especially what happened with Renee Good. But look, that you're right. That's a fine line, and people are, you know, and Jacob Frey and Walz, I think in Minnesota have done a decent job of telling people you can go out and you know, and protest peacefully. And if you're, let's say you're just standing in the street and there are no vehicles and there's no order to get out of there, that is, you know, that's arguably a peaceful protest. But you know, emotions run high. You know how it is. I mean, it's tough. It's difficult. I could see both sides of that.
Brian Claypool, criminal defense attorney, thank you so much.
You bet. Good seeing you.